Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, so we're going to do something a bit highly unusual today, but honestly, kind of profound. We're diving deep into a very specific, incredibly chaotic piece of modern source material, and we are going to treat a seemingly completely random string of utterances with, well, the utmost academic gravity. Because trust me on this, there is an absolute meticulous art hidden right there in the chaos of these animal noises. Let's get right into it.
I'm just going to read this exact, completely unedited transcript for you. Just listen to the rhythm of this source text. Ready? Foreign, well, yes. What the, wake up? Oh, lastly, hey, my God, up, on. Wow, right? I mean, it is an absolute symphony of gasps, stutters, pauses, and pure bewilderment.
Which obviously begs the question, what exactly are we even looking at here? Like, is this an avant-garde poem? Maybe a really bad pocket dial that went straight to voicemail and totally confused your phone's auto-transcriber? Well, no. In reality, this totally baffling text is a direct transcription of a really lengthy YouTube compilation for the animated series Grizzy and Les Lemmings. See, instead of traditional dialogue, the text is made up almost entirely of just incoherent vocalizations. It's a true linguistic mystery, mostly because it's trying to document 20 solid minutes of the undocumentable. It perfectly captures the pure slapstick nature of the show.
Section 1. The Bizarre Transcript. A Linguistic Mystery.
Section 2. Anatomy of a Grunt. Categorizing Chaos. Okay, let's dive into this. So, if we treat these chaotic animal noises not just as pure gibberish, but actually as serious, quantifiable data points, a really fascinating pattern emerges. These characters aren't just making noise into the void, right? They are communicating with genuine intent. We've actually mapped out the exact distribution of these primitive sounds straight from our source text. Just listen to this breakdown. Happens 13 times, hits 8 times, pops up 6 times, and clocks in just 2. Now this massive volume of ums and uhs is absolutely not a mistake. It is critical evidence. It highlights the exact communication style of these characters. They're highly reactive, they're constantly pausing, and they are completely reliant on the tone of delivery rather than actual letters and words.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how the titular bear, Grizzy, and his tiny lemming rivals rely so heavily on a super limited set of grunts to interact. I mean, the vast majority of their so-called dialogue is quite literally just and They aren't sitting around using formal speech to plan their next big prank. No, they are using sheer expressive volume to convey their exact intentions right in the heat of the moment.
Section 3. The Auto-Caption Anomaly. Machine versus slapstick.
Now, right smack in the middle of our source text, completely hidden along all those standard grunts, is a massive outlier that just breaks the pattern entirely. The text says, well, what the fuck, wake up. Okay, this is an incredibly absurd, totally out-of-place phrase to just find floating around in a children's animated show transcript, right? So what's actually happening here? Well, the automated transcript generator completely misinterpreted a really chaotic, loud, and probably quite violent slapstick noise. Basically, the machine panicked. It tried desperately to force human swear words and urgent commands onto what was probably just the sound of a crashing boulder or a bear yelling in total surprise.
Now, what's really interesting about this phenomenon is that it's known as an auto-caption error. Basically, it's the absolute failure of speech-to-text algorithms when they try to translate nonverbal, purely expressive outbursts into, traditional dictionary words. The AI struggles so immensely to comprehend the nonverbal storytelling that is just super common in children's animation. It desperately wants human words, so it literally hallucinates them out of pure slapstick noise. Wild, right?
Section 4. Nonverbal Storytelling. Expression over vocabulary.
So, zooming out from that hilarious machine error for a second, this entire transcript really highlights a total masterclass in prioritizing expression over vocabulary. If you contrast traditional formal dialogue with our slapstick source material, it becomes so clear just how entirely dependent the show is on physical comedy alongside these raw grunts, gasps, and reactions. Honestly, a simple combination of uh-oh and does the exact same heavy narrative lifting as a full grammatically perfect sentence. It's brilliant.
Let's slow down for just a second and logically break down exactly how these specific groupings of vocalizations are acting as direct substitutes for complex emotional dialogue. So, sounds like and ah map directly to pure confusion. Then you've got O, which is basically the universal undeniable sound of realization, usually right before a heavy anvil or something falls on a character's head. And then ugh, or just repeatedly going perfectly captures that feeling of mounting frustration. These characters are literally speaking volumes to us, just without ever having to open a dictionary.
Section 5. A linguistic snapshot, the universal language.
So the crucial point is really captured beautifully in our core quote for today. This specific entry serves as a linguistic snapshot of the chaotic interactions between the titular bear and his small rivals. See, this isn't just random gibberish. It is a perfectly borderless representation of nonverbal storytelling. Think about it. Anyone, regardless of their native language, anywhere in the whole world, can understand exactly what is happening based purely on these grunts. 0. Let that number really sink in for a moment. 0. That is the exact number of formal, localized, fully translated words needed for this slapstick animation to be universally understood by its audience. The absolutely brilliant thing about relying entirely on us, ohs, and ums is that it completely obliterates the language barrier. 0 words literally equals infinite accessibility.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating final thought to chew on today. In our modern world that is just utterly obsessed with words, nonstop text messages, perfectly articulated, totally over-explained dialogue, do we even need words to tell a genuinely great story? Honestly, the next time you find yourself really struggling to explain a complicated situation, maybe take a page from our chaotic transcript today. Because sometimes a well-placed uh-oh is truly all the communication you'll ever need.